The Super Bowl didn't just crown a champion. It showed exactly how modern NFL teams are being built to win. And if you're a Bengals fan, the question isn't whether Cincinnati can get back there. It's whether they're building the roster the right way to do it. Because the blueprint is sitting right in front of them. Tonight, we're breaking down the one lesson the Bengals should absolutely copy and the one they need to avoid at all costs. Then we turn the page to baseball because spring training is here and expectations for the Reds are officially real. And across Major League Baseball, a new season means new contenders, new pressures, and a few teams already walking the tightrope. Welcome to the Cincinnati Sports Scene podcast, where Cincinnati sports meets the biggest stories shaping the game we care about. I'm Dave alongside Sam, and we've got a packed show today. We'll start with the Super Bowl takeaway that the Bengals fans need to pay attention to, what the championship roster tells us about how Cincinnati should be building moving forward. Then we shift to baseball as Reds spring training gets underway and expectations start to feel very real. And we'll wrap things up with a couple MLB storylines that could define the entire season before we even hit summer. Let's get into it. All right, let's start where the entire sports world just finished, son. The Super Bowl, because beyond the celebration, there was one big roster lesson that we should absolutely consider for the Bengals. So what is your takeaway as far as with the Super Bowl? On
defense, if you can win with your front four and just create havoc with just four guys rushing, I mean, you can get a lot of things done defensively. You don't necessarily need the stud defensive back or linebacker if you can get home with four. I mean, the Seahawks just part of it. I mean, the Patriots O-line was like the Bengals O-line in 2021, and that Super Bowl. Me and you might have been able to rush the passer against them, but when you can get home with four, it just allows your guys on the back end more time to cover.
Right.
You can roll coverages a little easier. You can double guys if you need to. You don't have to jam them. You can sit off the line and just kind of, anticipate the route and not necessarily react. So, I mean, the Bengals can do that, have two guys on the edge and somebody up the middle. That solves a lot of their defensive problems right there without addressing linebacker or cornerback play.
Right. And so I agree with you wholeheartedly. That's what I had down as one thing that the Bengals can steal from this is from the Seahawks and even the Patriots, because the Patriots did get to Sam Darnold as well. But, rush with four, stop the run with your defensive line. But I'm going to carry it one step further in things that they should avoid. And I think they should avoid trying to sign players that, like a Trey Hendrickson, right, to a contract. I know they've been talking about that here recently. I'm hoping that they'll put the franchise tag on them and then trade them.
Ship them out. Yeah.
Is what I hope they do. I just hope they don't put the franchise tag on them and then expect him to go play on that tag, because I don't think that's the worst thing that I think could happen to the Bengals. If they went to Trey and said, we're gonna trade you, we're gonna tag you, trade you, good luck, see ya, adios, that'd be good. But they should definitely avoid running it back with the same, because we've seen what happens there.
Totally agree. Yeah, you can't run it back on that defense. You just can't.
Right. And honestly, that's what makes this time of year great here in Cincinnati, because while football gives us lessons about building contenders, baseball gives us the next chance to watch one grow in real time. And that brings us to the Reds, because spring training is officially here and expectations feel very different this year. So as we talk about the Reds, and we're going to ask the question, what actually matters this spring? So I got two questions for you. The first one, when it pertains to what actually matters this spring. If this doesn't happen, if this one thing you're saying doesn't happen, the Reds are in trouble. Or if this one thing happens, the Reds are winning the division. Not a wild card. They're winning the division. So what do you have?
Well, the starting rotation's got to get out of spring healthy. If one or two guys are starting the season on the IL or not quite ready, they're going to miss a couple starts. We get off to another slow start in April. Just puts us behind the eight ball again. We know the strength of this team is going to be our starting pitching staff, no matter what that one idiot for Sports Illustrated was saying the metrics are saying. I don't know if you saw him. I mean, goodness.
I don't know.
He tried to clarify himself later, but that was brutal.
Yeah, he did. He clarified himself because I think it was the Reds Daily. Forgive me.
It was. Yeah, it was Reds Daily.
He was like, "What do you mean you haven't watched blah, blah?" And
bottom
he was like,
5 staff in baseball.
Yeah. And he said he must have interpreted after he went back and looked at it.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, I think I interpreted it wrong, and it should have been a top 5 and not a bottom 5."
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that starting pitching is paramount, and we'll talk about that here in our next segment for the Reds. What I said, I said our lineup, whoever's in the lineup, the top 9. This includes pitchers, but we need more consistency from our lineup because we cannot have these spells where we have 3 or 4 guys who are in the lineup and they're not hitting for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
Or they're not producing outs, throwing strikes. So we need to make sure that whoever is in our lineup, because I know we don't have a set lineup every day. Not everybody plays every game like they used to. And we play on matchups, but who's ever in, they need to be consistent. And then the other thing, if this happens, the Reds are winning the division, we have to improve our home run and stolen base output. Because I think if we can create havoc on the bases, which we should be able to do.
Did it 2 years ago.
Yeah, they did it 2 years ago. And
just last year they didn't. So.
Nope. And so, yeah, I think if those 2 things happen, we're winning the division. All right, moving on to pitching. Who do you got confidence in? It's our pitching. Which pitchers do you have confidence in?
I mean, pretty much the whole starting staff, really. I trust all of their stuff, especially Green and Lodolo. I know, getting back to some advanced analytics, said Abbott was a little bit lucky, but sure, but he also hits a spot. He's not just leaving meatballs up there. Like, this is the guy who paints the corners and he hits his spot. He doesn't walk people. There's a reason why guys don't hit the ball hard. It's hard to hit the ball hard when it's low and away right on the corner, and you have to swing because it's strike 3 if you don't.
Right.
That's not luck. That's still skill. He's pitching to contact. I think people are so worried about advanced analytics because they're nerds and all this crap. Like, pitchers used to pitch to contact. That used to be how you got guys out. You used movement and placement, right? You weren't, you weren't striking out 12 guys a 9 per 9. You were striking out 6 or 7. You were only walking 1. You were playing for the double play. You were throwing a cutter and a sinker and a good changeup to keep guys off balance. Abbott's just a throwback to that. So I don't necessarily agree with the fact that, with them saying you got lucky. Getting lucky is when you have a career 5 ERA and then you have an all-star season, then you go right back to it. Alfredo Simon comes to mind. Talk about luck.
Right.
Abbott's been all 3 years in the bigs. He's been this guy. And
He's
last
been
year
consistent,
he was his best.
Yep.
So that's not luck to me anymore. Burns is going to be kind of the wild card. Just because we haven't seen a whole lot of him yet. He's still young, but he's got the stuff. So does Hunter Green and Lodolo. Their 2 are more just injury concerns. Lodolo was finally, for the most part, healthy last year. Green, not so much. So, I'd love to see both of those guys make 30 starts.
Yeah, that'd be great. I had that as well. My confidence is in the top 4 starters, just because I don't know who the 5th is going to be. Is it going to be Burns? Louder, Burns.
I had Burns penciled in as 4, so to me, Louder would have been 5.
Well, are you shipping Singer out?
Oh, I completely forgot about Singer.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. Well. No, you're right. I completely forgot about Singer.
So, because I had, Singer's number 4, then. Or number 3 or 4 with Abbott, and then you're right. you got Burns and Louder.
Between Burns and Louder.
Well,
yeah,
and then
if Williamson is looking good, Williamson, unless they go bullpen for him, but
I don't think they're going to go bullpen.
You already got 2 lefty starters. Though.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that as we talk about wild cards here, but. So you've got the confidence in the staff. I have them in the top 4 just because I don't know who the 5th one will be. Who's ever the 5th one, I think I'll have confidence in, whether it's Burns or Louder, because for the small sample size, I believe in those guys. But what's your concern? What are you concerned about for the pitching?
Back end of the bullpen. I know we brought back Pagan, so that alleviates a little bit, but I don't know. I'd love for Ashcraft to just be that late inning guy. I've been on that train for a couple years now. Last year towards the end, he was fine out of the pen, but I don't know if I would trust him yet in the 8th or 9th inning, or a high leverage spot. So the back end of the bullpen is, I think, where we're shaky.
Yeah, that's exactly my concern as well. I had Pagan because, can he repeat that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because 2 years ago, we didn't want him out there at all.
Yeah, we didn't.
He was not very good. And then they put him in the high leverage situation, and he came up with 32 saves for us. Can he repeat that? Right? And this is what we're talking about, consistency, repeatability. Can he do it? I hope so. If not, then we're really in trouble. You're talking about the back end, Tony Santion. He was the 8th inning guy last year. Can he repeat as well?
He threw a lot of innings.
He threw a lot of innings in. He's not a young chicken, spring chicken, so, and then Ashcraft. So you have 3 right-handers in a row. Burke.
Right. Who's the lefty?
Burke, the new guy, and we'll talk about that here. But yeah, I tend to agree with you. My concern would be, can Pagan match or beat his numbers from last year? All right, and now the wild card for your pitching. What stands out as a wild card?
We mentioned him, Williamson.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what he's ready to go. I don't know that I have a tough time justifying 3 lefty starters. I guess you can do it, but I don't see the need, especially when the 2 lefties you have are already 2 of your top 3 starters. I think he would be better served making the transition to the bullpen. Just from an arm perspective, I don't know if his stuff is necessarily modern day bullpen stuff, though, because he's not a big velo guy. Right. He doesn't have the sharpest of breaking balls, so I don't know how he would play in the bullpen. If that's an avenue they're going to explore, that's something he'd even be open to. And if it's not, then what do you do with him?
Well, my wild card is twofold, right? Rhett Lauder or Williamson. If one of those emerge, because there was speculation, let me just say that word, that Chase Burns might be moved to the to the back end of the bullpen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, his stuff's electric, but I think he's more of a starter.
Be on it, right? You don't move a first-round pick,
right?
First-round pick to the bullpen in his second year.
No, you don't do that.
Seems a little early.
So right. Here's the thing: if Lauder and Williamson's just lights out, you could keep them in AAA for, we've had a run of bad luck with our starting pitching. So those 2 guys can keep pitching AAA, come up, spot start, instead of a Chase Petty or somebody like that. Or if you're confident in these 2 guys, could you flip Brady Singer then for another weapon? Either another bat or another prospect in a bullpen or do you flip one of them? Yeah, I think you keep those 2 guys because they're controllable, and you get rid of Brady Singer. It's just a thought. That's my wild card there. Okay, let's talk about some rebound players, because if the Reds want to win the division, and move forward into the playoffs and win a playoff series, some of these players need to be coming back sharper and better than ever. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to give you a list of players, and then I just want either a yes or no. Like, are they going to rebound or no? Okay, or aren't they going to rebound? All right. So, and then we can come back and briefly maybe give me a 20-second thing of why you think that they will or not. All right, so the first player that we have, I got 5 of them here for you. Rebound player, Rhett Lauder. He was injured last year, didn't see any big league action. Is he going to be a rebound player? No. Okay. Brandon Williamson.
No.
Tyler Stevenson.
Yes.
Matty McLean.
Yes.
And then the last one, Will Benson.
No.
Okay, so you have 3 no's and 2 yeses. So Lauder, Williamson, and Benson are no. Why?
So Lauder and Williamson, just because I'm not sure if they're going to make the starting rotation. So just because of that wild card, I have to say no until they earn a spot. Benson, we know Francona just doesn't like him. He could hit 500 this spring training. I don't think he's going to get the opportunity to be an everyday guy under Francona for whatever reason. That's why. Then Stevenson and McLean, McLean, he's too good to have another year like he did last year. He's just too good. He's coming off this missing the whole year in 24. I think that really played into it, and just getting off to that slow start probably messed with him. I think he's going to bounce back. Well, and Stevenson's going to start healthy, and it's also a contract year. So if he wants to continue playing, he's going to have to.
Right. So that's the two things, right? Is McLean, he has to at least start out relatively hot.
Yeah.
I don't want to say, 500 or something like that.
No, but he can't be 1 for 32.
No, he can't. He needs to be something like when he got called up and he had a nice run, just to get that momentum, that confidence, that consistency.
Opening series, something like 3 for 11. That's a 280 batting average.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets a walk.
I'd go a little higher than that, but
I think if he can do that, that's not. He's not in his head like, oh man, here we go again, starting the year off like this again.
If he can, especially if he hits like some gap-to-gap doubles or a bomb, something like that, just so that the power's back, that shoulder's back. Ty Stevenson, I think you're right. He needs to be healthy. That arbitration hearing that went down, to me, and that's something that we can discuss here, but it was like, what was it? $250,000 they went to arbitration over. That's unheard of. That leads...
is the smallest difference of any player that went to arbitration.
Right. That leads me to think that Tyler Stevenson is not in the Reds' plans after this year.
I would probably agree with that, because Dunno is waiting. He's waiting.
Yeah. Yes. So we got to ride, and I hope it's a contract year, like you said, son, that he just continues to hit.
Looking at it from Stevenson's personal perspective, he's not good enough defensively to, at the very least, latch on as a second catcher somewhere.
Right.
He's got to hit. So if he doesn't hit, and he has another year like last year where he's 220 with 10 homers, he's not playing in the big leagues anymore. He's just going to be done. So he's going to have to play if he wants to continue his career.
Right.
So, and I'm going to bank on him to do it because I've seen him do it before.
Yep, I agree. And hopefully Dunno is ready next year, which,
it sounds like he probably should be.
He should be.
The bat's going to be ready for sure.
Yes, but handling the staff.
Yeah.
He needs to be called up sometime, and he needs to catch a few games for him in the regular season. They won't do that because they don't want that clock to start.
Right. Then the clock starts, yeah.
All right, so then our next thing are impact players. And what we're going to look at here are wins added. I'm going to give you, I've got a list of players. Wins added, how many wins do you think they will add? Lineup construction, how will they play in the lineup? And does this give you any postseason vibes coming out of this, these impact players? So the first one is the relief pitcher, Brock Burke.
He's probably good for a win or two. I don't know too much about him. He's a middle relief pitcher. Those guys are kind of a dime a dozen. So as long as you can kind of get above replacement level out of a middle reliever, I think that's a positive.
I think, let's see, who was our lefty out of the pen last year?
Sutter. Yeah. Sutter and Mole. Kind of switching off.
I think he brings more stuff than both of those guys combined. So yeah, I think he's going to give us, one or two more victories than either of those two guys could do for us. Sal Stewart.
Sal Stewart's worth a couple victories, 2-3 victories as well. It's just going to be tough to find an everyday spot for him. To be curious, I'm guessing first base.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, unless you try him in the outfield. But
no, he's not going out. He's playing. No, he's going to play first.
He's not going to DH. You got Gino's your DH.
Right.
So I guess it's going to have to be first base. He's going to hit though. I don't have any worries about him hitting. I don't.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I think you're right there. As we move on, we'll talk about the lineup construction too. Yeah, Sal's going to hit. He's hit everywhere. He had 5 home runs in the short time that he was up.
He led the team when he was up.
Right. Francona knows he's going to hit because the next guy on our list could impact the amount Sal C's, right? So J.J. Bedley.
I kind of forgot we signed that guy.
Yeah, we signed him from Oakland, outfielder, left-handed outfielder.
I mean, it's just Will Benson, but white.
Right.
It's all it is.
Yeah. So,
it's another Will Benson.
Right. Defense, pretty good. Does that move the needle for you at all?
No, not at all.
No. So him and Will are the same player, you think?
It's a wash as far as I'm concerned.
Wash. Okay. So the only interesting for me is that if he plays more so than Spencer Steer, because here's the thing: if Stewart is playing first base on a regular, well, Spencer Steer was a pretty darn good first baseman defensively last year for this team. I mean, he made himself a really good first baseman, almost in the Gold Glove, conversation. He was in the Gold Glove conversation, but he didn't win it. So you move him back to starting left fielder, and then Benson, JJ, are those two guys fighting for?
I think they're fighting for the fourth outfield spot.
Fourth or fifth? Who's the fifth?
I think so.
So the fifth, that Davis
those
guy?
Two. They'd be 4-5.
Well, but we got the other.
Marte's in right field.
Yeah, but we got the other guy too, that Chris Davis or whatever his name is. Not Chris Davis. Yeah, they signed him after JJ played. He's like center fielder, specifically center field. So my question is, are you going to keep both JJ and Benson on the bench because they're both left-handed? They're both the same player, or does one?
I don't think you can keep both of them. I don't know how you can. Dane Myers is.
Yeah, Myers, not Chris Davis. Yeah, Myers. Yes.
Myers. Yeah, I mean
Myers, he's defensive guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess he would be your fourth, and then Benson and Bleday are going to compete for your fifth outfielder, would be my guess.
Unless
or
Hector Rodriguez.
Yeah.
I don't even have him on the line, the impact player, because if he, he's another left-handed power hitter. You can't have three left-handed guys on your bench. You have to have, somebody out there. Interesting thing that they did say was Marte is actually going to be playing some spring training games in center field this year.
Yeah.
Just to give TJ that break. And then you get whoever. To me, that sounds like, Dane Myers might be the odd man out, because why would you have Marte taking center, if you've got this guy
if you're
here.
planning on keeping him.
Right,
Yeah.
right. All right. And then the last impact player, our favorite, good vibes only, Gino Suarez. How many? 35 bombs?
Yep. He's the last guy that hit 30 homers for us.
Yes.
So,
yeah,
bring him back. And he needs to. If I don't see, outside of maybe Ellie, I don't see anybody else making a jump in terms of home run production. I don't know. I don't see Marte turning in, not this year anyways, turning into a 30 homer guy. I don't see out of Steer, or I don't see South Stewart being that point yet. I mean, if he is, he is. But I see him having a little bit higher average, maybe not necessarily the power right away.
I don't know. I think he's going to hit some bombs.
He's got the opportunity.
I think he's going to get 20 plus.
That's not 30.
20,
so
no, but I say 20 plus, whatever the plus is. It could be 30. It could be 35.
Well, if it was going to be 30, you'd say 30 plus.
Wow. 20
I mean,
at least
20. We need that legitimate threat that pitchers are scared can take him out of the ballpark.
At any swing, right.
That's Suarez is here only for that reason. He's not here to hit 250. They don't care if he hits $175. If he hits 35 homers, well worth it.
Right. And, especially at Great American Ballpark.
We've seen him do it. We've seen him hit 49.
Right. And
then that COVID shortened year, he hit 21.
And you have protection for Ellie, right? Because Suarez be batting fourth, Ellie would be batting third. Now you got some protection. These guys can't be throwing a ton of breaking balls to Ellie, and they're still going to be careful with them, but they don't want to be extremely careful because you don't want to put them on base in front of Gino. So, yeah. All right. Now we're going to go into our postseason vibes. Last year, 83-79, wild card. They snuck in, backdoored themselves in, but hey, they got in. Where do you see us right now before any spring training games have been played. We'll come back closer to opening day with our official predictions and all that good stuff. Right now, with this team, with what we have, 83-79 was last year. Yeah. What do you think?
I think it's very similar. I think it's going to be very similar. Over under is 78.5.
Are they?
Let's see here. I want to say I saw that number.
Their projected win total set as 82.5.
82.5. So same as last year.
Right, pretty much.
Let's see. Going off up here.
Let's see. Yeah, so I think.
Yeah, 80. Let's see here.
Let's see here.
Yep.
82.5.
That's kind of where I'm at again. Is around
right
that
there.
83 to 85 until I see something different out of the offense. I mean, we mentioned McLean being a bounce back candidate. I need to see it before, because I've lived it so many times that we're counting on these young guys, counting on bounce backs, counting on retreads, and it just doesn't happen. I've seen it too many times to get my hopes up anymore for it. I don't necessarily think we're going to be worse than we were last year, but until I see otherwise, I think we're going to be kind of right around that same spot, fighting for that final wild card again, play the Dodgers again, and what was the point? So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Well, if we said Gino is going to give us 1 or 2 more victories, Stewart's good for 1 or 2, Burke might be good for 1, you're looking at 4 or 5 more victories, and we were 83, so that puts it at about 88. But I like that at 85. I think 85 is a safe play because I think they will. I mean, our starting pitching is the key, like you said.
Yeah.
If our starting pitching is anything like it was last year, we're going to be okay. I think, and if we can get that consistency in our lineup, like I want us to do, I don't see why we can't win 90 games and take the division because, I don't know, the Cubs look good on paper, but they always look good on paper. The Brewers are the ones who, they get rid of everybody and they still win the division. So can they continue that magic? We'll find out. So now as we move to the bigger scene, some storylines to follow, right? And I think the main storyline, right, is with the Dodgers spending spree that they're just printing money out there. One thing that I'm going to be following closely is the owners, and they're already chirping a little bit about the lockout, right? They want a salary cap, and it's looming. Will it happen in 2027, right? Will baseball happen in 2027? I think the owners are fed up with the Dodgers, Yankees. I mean, mostly the Dodgers because they're creative in how they spend money, which is great, but they don't need to be creative because they have the money, right? And I think that's where a lot of these other owners get upset with. And I think it's going to be a lockout. And the players already said, the whoever the player union rep is, Players Association rep, said, we're not accepting anything. And they know it's coming. I mean, they're going to be locked out, and they're going to, it's going to be one of those things that until they agree to either some sort of revenue sharing salary cap, something where it's the NBA/NFL model, baseball will not happen in 2027. That's the storyline I'm following. What about you?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. This is probably going to be the last season we have of baseball for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if we missed the whole of 2027 at the very least, because it's not like it has been in years past where it seems like both sides are just too stubborn. Like you have, because there's been a shift in fans from owners to players in pretty much every other sport. Baseball's always kind of been on the player side though, and now we're seeing it flipped. It's the fans are with the owners on this one.
Yeah, the all but the Dodgers owners,
right? But because there is no salary cap, and when your ownership is responsible for a hedge fund that manages, I think Jeff Passan said it's like close to $600 billion worth of assets that they manage. And when the rules allow you to, as an owner, take from your personal business and loan to the team, nobody can compete with that. The Castellinis the Castellini company's worth $200 million. They physically cannot do that. They cannot.
No,
and I'm not saying they're poor by any stretch, but relatively they are.
Compared to
when you're doing this, Cohen in New York, same boat. These guys are not just playing with the money they're generating from baseball. They're taking their outside money and investing it into baseball. And the Dodgers are littered. I don't know how to describe it. They're insider trading, basically. They're just printing money at this point. Because they're telling their players, hey, it's not some third party managing your money. Like, we're managing your money as well.
Right.
And they don't have to do that because they already have the sweetest deal of all deals with their regional sports network that no other team has access to. They don't have to share any of the profit from that. They are excluded. Because their previous owner went through a divorce, and as part of the divorce settlement, when the sale of the franchise, it's a whole big convoluted thing that somehow they're exempt from it and they're able to just pocket that $300 million. Makes no sense. And that's another reason why you're going to have a blackout, because these owners are seeing the top guys get special preferential treatment. And we as fans have become so much smarter just in how the actual business works. We see this too. So yeah, everybody that, in the baseball media that says it's not a bad thing that the Dodgers are spending money, it's not. But think of it as a fan of a team that has never seen their franchise spend any money. You're not playing the same sport.
Right.
It's no wonder,
and it's not,
it's a regional sport, and it's no wonder it's a dying sport.
Right. And it's not that the Reds, I think if the Reds could, I think they
100% would.
They would. And I know people say, well, why don't you defer? Well, you still have to pay that out. I mean, they can't defer $700 million.
The player also has to accept it. Part of the reason why the Dodgers are accepting it is because they're able to skirt the California income tax by doing so. Ohio's income tax is next to nothing compared to that. They don't care about. They'd rather take their money now to play for the Reds than defer it down the road. Whereas Kyle Tucker signed for the 150 or whatever. If you take that, just whatever it is, you defer it, and now he's saving over the course of the contract like $30 million just in California taxes by deferring it. So yeah, it's like you can't compete. You can't compete money wise,
right?
And you can't compete. Maybe the Dodgers guys will get injured. They're just going to buy some more. Somehow they still have one of the best farm systems in all of baseball as well. Yeah. It's a complete joke.
Yeah, so that's my storyline that I'm following. What about you? What else? Is there something?
100% not that. Because, like I said, this is the last year of baseball we're going to have for a while.
All right. So one thing that I don't know if it's gone under the radar, at least it probably has for a lot of fans, but as we get closer to the trade deadline, people realize that, it got pushed back a little bit, a couple of days. So now, who does that benefit the most this season? I mean, as far as which teams?
It benefits the 500 teams a little bit more, I would think. It just delays their decision on whether or not to be buyers or sellers.
Yeah,
it allows the front office to string the fans along a little bit longer, because if ultimately you end up being a seller, well, fans stop showing up once they realize you're selling guys off. So you can just, even if it's an extra week, they're going to be happy about that. And it gives teams the opportunity, if they're 500, maybe they win 5 out of 6 and talk themselves into getting somebody. So I don't think it hurts anybody because sellers are still sellers,
Right.
I don't think it hurts them at all.
It could hurt a team that is, in second place, third place, trying to make that push. They don't get that impact player, sooner. That's the only
I guess. Now, but you can still trade for guys.
You can still trade for them, yes. But if I say, hey, are you going to trade Brady Singer? And the Reds are like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We're right there. And that's, obviously, I would say, yeah, we can trade them because we have Lauder and Williamson, right? But if those two guys, if this was last year, you're not trading Brady Singer.
Right, you're not trading.
Right, yeah, you're not trading them. If somebody comes calling and says, yeah, we'll give you X, Y, and Z for them. No, we need. So I think that could play into it a little bit, where some people who I want to say that they are pretenders trying to be contenders, keeping their players until the last minute to drive up the bargaining price, which good for them. I mean, they can get more for their player, then good for them. But, I just think that some of these ball clubs, they'll be out of it by July 4th, and they'll still be holding on to their guys until the last minute. All right, and the last one we had is one off-season signing that will backfire for the new club.
Probably JJ Bleday, just because redundant. You've already got Will Benson. It's just another lefty-only bat, or righty-only bat. Left-handed bat, only faces righties. Sorry. Plays good defense, has some pop, but to get that pop, you have to play consistently, and you're just not going to play him consistently. You got other options in front of him. If you're going to keep Will Benson around, you got to play him. So, it was just a redundant signing. It wasn't. I didn't get it to begin with. I think it backfires relative because I don't think they're planning on him being a guy. It's not like it's a big swing and a miss, but it just didn't make sense to me. And I don't know. That money would have been better spent somewhere else. Maybe on Tyler Stevenson, so you didn't have to go to arbitration with him.
Well, mine is Kyle Schwarber. I think the Phillies are going to regret giving him the 5-year deal for that amount of money. I just think it's going to backfire. He might have a great year, but over the course of those 5 years, I don't think that it's going to work out in the long run for Philly, especially if there is a lockout and they don't play for a whole year.
Yeah.
And he becomes 34 years old when he comes back, and he still has 3 years left on that contract. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But yeah. All right. And that's the start of another season. Football lessons learned, baseball hope officially is underway, and a lot of questions Cincinnati fans are about to get answered over the next few months. Now we want to hear from you. What's your biggest takeaway from the Super Bowl, and what are you expecting for the Reds this season? Drop your thoughts in the comments because we read them and it helps shape future shows. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you like, subscribe, and share it with another Cincinnati sports fan who's ready for baseball to be back. Next week, we're taking on a big one. Fixing college sports. What's broken, what still works, and what actually needs to change moving forward. Until then, for all of us here at Cincinnati Sports Scene, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.